Right now in March 2026, the internet is absolutely losing its mind. Blueface just got knocked clean out of a boxing ring. Not knocked down, knocked out, through the ropes. On live stream, in front of thousands of people, by BrandRisk's brother Chibu. And this isn't just about a boxing match. This is about karma finally catching up to someone who's been playing tough guy for years. Someone who's been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Someone who thought his street image was untouchable. Now before we go any further, be sure to leave a like and subscribe because Blueface fans are going to be in the comments trying to defend this man after what we're about to expose here. And trust me, there's no defending what happened on Adin Ross's BrandRisk boxing event. This is the moment where Blueface's entire persona got shattered in 6 rounds. And the internet has the receipts. Every single one of them. Let's set the stage for what just happened. March 2026. Adin Ross puts together another BrandRisk boxing event. For those who don't know, BrandRisk has become the platform where internet personalities and rappers settle their beef in the ring. It's basically the new celebrity boxing, but with way more drama, way more trash talk, and way higher stakes for people's reputations. This time, the matchup was Blueface versus Chibu. Now if you're asking who Chibu is, let me explain. Chibu is BrandRisk's brother. The same BrandRisk who had that toxic on and off relationship with Blueface that played out across social media for years. The same relationship where we saw physical altercations, verbal abuse, public humiliation, all of it documented, all of it messy, and all of it building to this moment. Because when you disrespect someone's family the way Blueface disrespected BrandRisk, eventually, the family is going to want that smoke. And Chibu stepped up to the plate. Now here's where this gets interesting. Blueface has been positioning himself as this street dude for years. The tough guy from Los Angeles. The rapper who doesn't back down from anyone. He's been in multiple altercations. Posted guns on social media. Talked about being connected to the streets. Built his entire image around being untouchable. But there's always been questions about whether it's real or just an act. And well, you can already see where this is going. Because in a rap game where image is everything, where being perceived as weak can end your career, Blueface just got exposed in the worst possible way. On camera. In HD. With millions watching. Let me take you back to before the fight even started. Because the signs were already there that Blueface wasn't taking this seriously. Behind-the-scenes footage showed Blue looking relaxed. Too relaxed. Feet kicked up. Legs crossed. Joking around. Now normally before a fight, even a celebrity boxing match, fighters are focused. They're warming up. They're getting their mind right. They're visualizing victory. But Blueface, he looked like he was at a house party. And that tells you everything about his mindset going into this. He underestimated Chibu. He thought because Chibu was bigger that he wouldn't have the speed. He thought because this was his first time fighting heavyweight that experience would carry him through. He thought wrong. The fight was set for 6 rounds. Standard for celebrity boxing. Enough time to prove who's really about that action. When they got in the ring, Blueface even came out clowning, dancing, talking trash, playing to the crowd. This man really thought he had it in the bag. And then the bell rang. And now this is where things really get interesting. Because from the very first round, you could see this wasn't going to go the way Blueface expected. Chibu came out aggressive, throwing combinations, using his reach advantage, and most importantly, landing clean shots. Now let me break down what we saw in these clips that went viral. Because this wasn't just a loss. This was a systematic breakdown of everything Blueface thought he was. Round 1 starts and Blueface is still playing around. Still trying to style. Still underestimating what's in front of him. Chibu throws a right hand that connects clean to Blue's face. You can see Blue's head snap back. The confidence starts to fade just a little bit. But he's still talking. Still trying to convince everyone he's in control. Then Chibu lands another combination. And another. And the commentary is catching it in real time. Blue does look good right now, someone says. But that doesn't last. Because Chibu is just getting started. Now here's what people need to understand about boxing versus street fighting. In the streets, you can talk your way through situations. You can pull out weapons. You can have your people jump in. But in that ring, it's just you and your opponent. No guns. No backup. No escape. And Blueface was learning that lesson in real time. And when things get even more intense is when we hit the middle rounds. Because this is where Chibu really started to take over. The footage shows Blueface breathing heavy. His guard dropping. His movement slowing down. And then comes the moment everyone's talking about. The moment that's been memed into oblivion. The moment where Blueface gets knocked through the ropes. Now Blueface fans and his mother Carlisa are trying to spin this narrative. He slipped. He was pushed. The sweat made him slide through. Let me show you why that's complete nonsense. When you watch the slow motion footage, you can count every single punch Chibu landed in that sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clean shots. Each one connecting. Each one driving Blueface backwards. And then the final punch that sends him tumbling through those ropes and onto the floor outside the ring. This wasn't a slip. This wasn't a push. This was a man getting overwhelmed by someone who came prepared. Someone who wanted it more. Someone who had personal reasons to make this hurt. And you could see it in Chibu's face. This wasn't just sport for him. This was personal. This was for his sister. For his family. For everyone who watched Blueface treat Krizian like she was nothing. Karma was being delivered in real time. Fist by fist. Punch by punch. And now where this gets absolutely wild is when you look at what happened during the rounds. There's footage of snot literally flying out of Blueface's nose. Drool dangling from his mouth. His face completely exhausted. This is Chub's first time fighting heavyweight too. Let that sink in. His first time at this weight class. And he's absolutely dominating someone who's been in multiple celebrity boxing matches. Someone who supposedly has experience. Someone who talks about being a fighter. The commentary is brutal. He ain't breathing through his nose. There's snot coming out. He's gassing out. And you can see Blueface struggling. Burning energy trying to look good instead of being effective. Throwing wild punches that miss. Getting tagged every time he drops his guard. This is what happens when you believe your own hype. When you think reputation can replace preparation. When you think intimidation can substitute for skill. Blueface found out the hard way that none of that matters when someone really wants to hurt you. But now let me take you to what happened after the fight. Because this is where Blueface's character really got exposed. The fight ends. Unanimous decision. Chibu wins. Clear as day. No controversy. No debate. Just a clean, decisive victory. Aiden Ross walks up to interview Blueface. And this is what Blue decides to do. Instead of being a man about it. Instead of congratulating his opponent. Instead of showing any kind of sportsmanship. He accuses Aiden of tampering with the bets. Right there on camera. I probably won't get back on BrandRisk because you're tampering with the bets. Aiden's face says it all. Confusion. Disgust. Disbelief. Never that. I don't know what he's talking about. And Aiden literally turns away from Blueface mid-conversation. Brushes him off. Goes right to Chibu to congratulate the real winner. This is the definition of being a sore loser. This is what happens when your ego can't handle reality. You make up excuses. You throw around accusations. You try to taint someone else's victory because you can't accept your own defeat. And the internet saw right through it. Everyone saw right through it. This wasn't about betting. This was about a man whose entire image just got shattered. And he needed something, anything, to deflect from that reality. And here's where things really do get big. Because we need to talk about Carlisa, Blueface's mother. The woman who's been defending her son through every controversy, every scandal, every embarrassing moment. Before the fight, she gave Blueface this whole speech, talking about knocking the Mario coins out of Chibu's belly, telling him to treat this like someone stole something, hyping him up like he was about to destroy this man. You better knock that. You better act like that man stole something. You better whoop his ass. While he trying to look tough, you better stay with arms reaching that mother. She was confident. She was talking big. She believed her son was going to win. And then he lost. And immediately the excuses started. He slid through the ropes with all that sweat glistening. That big boy pushed my baby out the ring. First it was sweat. Then it was a push. The story kept changing. But the video doesn't lie. We all saw what happened. Chibu punched him out of that ring. Period. No sweat. No push. Just hands. But then Carlisa tries to redirect. I want you to fight his brother. See if you could do all that with his big brother. Already looking for the next fight instead of accepting this loss. But here's what she said that's actually true. I really seen where you just did not do your homework. Running and exercising and hanging out with all these little floozies. She admitted it. Blueface wasn't prepared. He wasn't training. He wasn't focused. He was out there living the lifestyle instead of putting in the work. And that's exactly why he lost. And now when things get even more savage is when Flo Malcolm entered the chat. For those who don't know, Flo Malcolm is another person from Blueface's past. Someone who's had his own issues with Blue. And he did not waste any time jumping on social media to troll. That man got his ass beat, boy. That man got knocked out the ring, boy. And then Flo started sharing his own story. About how he beat up Blueface before. This is where the layers start to peel back. Because according to Flo Malcolm, he's been boxing since he was 9 years old. And when he fought Blueface, it wasn't even competitive. I punched on him and kept punching on him until the police came. And I was still punching on him. Flo said Blueface never even reported it to police. Never wanted to talk about it. Just took that L in silence. And then Flo says something that's absolutely crushing. Everybody can fight till they get punched in the mouth. That's a Mike Tyson quote. And it's perfectly applicable here. Blueface can talk. He can post videos. He can front like he's about that life. But when someone really presses him in a situation he can't control, he folds. Flo Malcolm exposed that. Chibu exposed that. And now the whole internet knows it. But Flo wasn't done. He said Blueface got beat up by someone else too. Someone from the 40s in San Diego. So according to multiple people, Blueface has a pattern. Talk tough. Get tested. Lose. And then try to move on like it never happened. And really, overall, when you step back and look at this entire situation, you have to examine what this means for Blueface's career. Because in hip-hop, image is currency. Your reputation is your brand. If people think you're soft, they won't respect your music. They won't believe your lyrics. They won't buy into your persona. And Blueface's entire persona has been built on this idea that he's a real street dude. That he's connected. That he's dangerous. That he's not someone to play with. But now we have video evidence of him getting completely dominated. Getting knocked out of a boxing ring. Drooling and bleeding and exhausted. And then being a sore loser about it. How do you come back from that? How do you rap about being tough when millions of people watched you get embarrassed? How do you post about being connected to the streets when your opponent's sister is the same woman you allegedly abused? The karma angle here is too perfect. Too poetic. Blueface spent years treating Crazy and Rock terribly. We saw the videos. We saw the altercations. We saw him put his hands on her. We saw him humiliate her publicly. And now her brother just returned the favor. Publicly. Decisively. Brutally. Flo Malcolm said it best in his rant. You just got publicly abused the same way you was beating on them women. What goes around comes back around. That's not just trash talk. That's a moral statement. That's the universe correcting an imbalance. And when you really look at the bigger picture here, this is about more than just Blueface. This is about accountability in hip-hop culture. For too long, we've watched artists get away with abusive behavior, get away with fake personas, get away with talking tough without ever being tested. And social media lets them control the narrative. They can post what they want, delete what they don't like, block people who challenge them. But you can't control a live stream. You can't delete a knockout. You can't block millions of people who watched you lose. This is the new era of accountability, where actions have consequences, where tough talk gets tested, where you have to back up everything you say. And Blueface failed that test spectacularly. Now let's talk about the technical side of this fight for a moment. Because boxing is a skill. It's not just about throwing wild punches. It's about footwork, defense, ring awareness, pacing yourself through rounds. Blueface showed none of that. He came out trying to knock Chibu out in the first round, burning energy, throwing everything he had. And when that didn't work, he had nothing left. No plan B, no adjustment, no strategy. Meanwhile, Chibu, fighting heavyweight for the first time, showed discipline, showed composure, showed that he actually prepared for this moment. He used his reach advantage. He worked the body. He waited for Blueface to gas out. And then he took over. That's what preparation looks like. That's what wanting it more looks like. And now let me connect this to something even deeper. The history between Blueface and Chrisian Rock. Because this fight doesn't exist in a vacuum. This is the culmination of years of public toxicity. Let me take you back. 2020 to 2023 was the height of their relationship drama. We watched it play out on Zeus Network, on Instagram Live, on every platform imaginable. Physical fights in public, cheating scandals, a baby being born into chaos, Chrisian getting her tooth knocked out. All of it documented, all of it traumatic. And Blueface treated it like entertainment. Like a reality show he could profit from. He showed no respect for her, no protection, no care for how this was affecting her mental health. He made her into a spectacle. And when she finally started to get away from him, when she started to heal and focus on herself and her child, Blueface kept trying to pull her back in, kept talking about her in interviews, kept posting about her, kept treating her like property he owned. So when Chibu stepped into that ring, he wasn't just fighting Blueface the rapper. He was fighting for his sister's dignity, for his family's honor, for every person who watched Chrisian suffer and wanted someone to hold Blue accountable. That's why this matters so much. That's why the internet celebrated so hard. Because justice was served in the most public way possible. And here's where things get really interesting moving forward. Because Blueface has a choice to make now. He can either accept this loss, learn from it, show some humility, and try to rebuild his image. Or he can double down, make more excuses, continue being the same person, and watch his career completely crumble. Based on how he acted immediately after the fight, I think we know which path he's choosing. The accusations against Aiden Ross show he's not ready to accept responsibility. The sore loser behavior shows his ego is still in control. And if his past is any indication, he's going to keep making the same mistakes, keep burning bridges, keep getting exposed. But here's what the internet isn't going to forget. They're not going to forget that knockout. They're not going to forget him flying through those ropes. They're not going to forget the snot and the drool and the exhaustion. They're not going to forget Flo Malcolm exposing that he's been beaten up before. They're not going to forget Carlisa making excuses for her son. This is permanent now. This is part of Blueface's legacy. Forever. And when you compare this to other celebrity boxing matches, this might be one of the most lopsided beatings we've seen. I'm talking about the combination of physical dominance and narrative justice. When KSI fought Logan Paul, it was competitive. When Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley, there was back and forth. When Austin McBroom fought Bryce Hall, it was entertainment. But this was personal. This was violent. This was someone's entire image being destroyed in real time. And the fact that it was Chrisian Rock's brother makes it even more significant. Because now Blueface can't talk about Chrisian without everyone remembering her brother knocked him out. He can't post about being tough without people bringing up this fight. He can't claim to be a real one when we've seen him get exposed multiple times. His credibility is gone. His intimidation factor is gone. His ability to control his narrative is gone. All he has left is excuses. And excuses don't sell records. Excuses don't build brands. Excuses just make you look weak. So what are we going to see happen next? Let me give you my predictions based on everything we know. First, Blueface is going to continue making excuses. He's going to claim the fight was rigged. He's going to say he wasn't in shape. He's going to blame everyone but himself. That's what people with fragile egos do when they can't handle reality. Second, there's probably going to be talk of a rematch. Carlisa already mentioned wanting Chibu to fight Blueface's brother. That's the classic move when you lose. Try to set up another fight to redeem yourself. But here's the thing about rematches. They only work if people believe you can actually win the second time. And after watching Blueface get dominated for 6 rounds, why would anyone think he could suddenly beat Chibu? Training harder isn't going to fix the fundamental issues. The lack of heart. The lack of discipline. The lack of preparation. Those are character problems, not training problems. Third, this is going to affect Blueface's music career. Not immediately, but gradually. Because every time he drops a track talking about being tough, every time he raps about being in the streets, every time he tries to front like he's dangerous, people are going to remember this fight. They're going to remember him getting knocked out of the ring. And they're going to question everything he says. That's the curse of being exposed. You can't unring that bell. You can't make people forget what they saw with their own eyes. Fourth, and this is important, this changes how other people in the industry view Blueface. Other rappers, other content creators, other people who might have been intimidated by him before. They're not scared anymore. They've seen him get tested and fail. They've seen him show his true character. And that means more people are going to be willing to challenge him. More people are going to call him out. More people are going to treat him like the paper tiger he's been exposed as. Now, from a cultural perspective, this fight represents something bigger. It represents a shift in how we handle accountability in hip-hop. For decades, rappers could maintain fake personas. They could talk tough without ever being tested. They could abuse women without real consequences. But social media has changed that. Now everything is documented. Now people demand receipts. Now actions have to match words. And when they don't, the internet will expose you. Brutally. Publicly. Permanently. Blueface is just the latest example. But he won't be the last. This is what happens when you build your brand on lies. When you treat people poorly and think there won't be consequences. When you believe your own hype instead of doing the actual work. The universe has a way of correcting these imbalances. Sometimes it takes years. But eventually, karma comes calling. And for Blueface, karma showed up in the form of Chibu. in a boxing ring, on live stream, in front of millions. There's no coming back from that. There's no spin that makes it better. There's no excuse that people will accept. All that's left is the truth. And the truth is Blueface got exposed. Completely. Decisively. Permanently. And so now, with all that said, let me know what you think about this entire situation. Do you think Blueface can recover from this? Do you think there should be a rematch, or is Chibu already proven his point? What did you think about how Blueface acted after the fight? Was Carlisa right to make excuses for her son, or should she have told him to take the L? Do you think this will affect Blueface's music career going forward? And what did you think about Flo Malcolm coming out with his own story about beating up Blueface? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from Blueface fans who still think he's tough after this. I want to hear from people who've been waiting for him to get held accountable. I want to hear everyone's perspective on this moment. If you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton and lets me know you want more content like this. Breaking down these cultural moments. Analyzing what they mean for hip-hop. Holding people accountable when they need to be held accountable. I can't thank you enough for watching. Your support means everything and allows me to keep creating this content. I hope you have a great day, and remember, what goes around really does come back around. Blueface learned that lesson the hard way. But in the meantime, if you want to see how other rappers have been exposed when their tough guy image got tested, well, you're not going to want to miss this one. So check out the suggested video. Peace.